please cover overcoming the frustrations of beginning jiu-jitsu. And this is coming from a 54-year-old, by the way, but not quitting.
Good for him. That's awesome. Glad you're picking up the jiu-jitsu at 54 years old. Okay, so how do you, the frustrations of beginning JJ? And it is absolutely, if you have the wrong mindset, it's viciously frustrating because of everything we just talked about. Yep. You think, oh, I'll just do this and I'll just go a little bit harder and I just won't put my arm there and then I'll be able to win. Right. You're not going to win. Right. You are going to lose. You're going to lose over and over and over again to people that are smaller than you, weaker than you, not as tough as you are. Literally not as tough as you are.
Yep.
Not as tough as you are. You know, jiu-jitsu has a faction of nerds, for lack of a better word, straight nerds. And no offense to the nerds out there, but you know, people that are not physically active, and then for some reason they fall into jiu-jitsu at some point, and they all of a sudden they've got a guy they're not tough, but they'll know the moves and they'll finish you. So those are the people you're going to lose to. So, and it's a long, slow journey that takes a long time. Now, that being said, if you train for a month and someone's trained 0, that journey's not that long. You'll beat that guy.
Yeah.
You will beat that guy. I mean, you know, again, you take 2 people, one of them knows jiu-jitsu for a month and one of them doesn't. Yep. That guy's going to win. I mean, you know, basic weight, same weight, basic same, you know, you can't have somebody that's completely weak. But in 6 months, you're beating anybody that's untrained. You're beating 95% of, maybe even 99% of the people that are untrained. But as far as like, you think you show up and in 6 months you're going to be beating a blue belt? It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Beating a purple belt is not happening. You're not gonna catch a purple belt in your first 2 or 3 years. Unless you got just somebody that doesn't.
Or he lets you. Yeah.
Of course. Like and like Jeff Glover, he'll let people put him in all kinds. I mean, he does that in competition. You just saw that at Metamoris. He lets all kinds of crazy things happen. So yeah, can that happen? Of course. But as far as legitimately taking someone down, it's not going to happen. So that's what I'm saying is a long, slow journey, especially too because everyone's on that bus. We've talked about this before. Everyone's on the bus getting better. So that blue belt that you started 6 months behind or a year behind, so he's a blue belt, you're a year behind him. He's not stopping getting better. So as you start to pursue his game is evolving and changing and improving. So you're not going to get there. And then on top of that, when you do learn something new, it takes time to incorporate it into your game. So if I taught you, Echo, a new move tonight, I said, hey, here's this cool, here's this new setup for the arm lock, and we drilled it 10 times, and you went now and started to apply that, it would make your game worse because you'd be trying to apply a move that you don't know 100% yet. Like you got some good, solid moves that you do, and those are, you know, those work really well. So when you start incorporating this new move, you don't know it well. You don't get it all together. So you're going to fail at it 100 times. It's not going to work 100 times before you get it. And by the way, every time you tried it on me, I got on top and then I smashed you. And then so you're sacrificing and it's in every time. So you're actually going backwards a little bit before you can go forward. So that's problematic. And that's very, very frustrating. Occasionally you might learn something that like really improves your game dramatically, almost instantly. That happens from time to time. Someone will say, hey, put your arm position here, or hey, you know, whatever the case may be. But generally, when you incorporate something new, it can take some time. You're going to get injuries. You're going to get little injuries. You're going to get big injuries. You're going to be sore. So yes, you will be frustrated. So how do you counter all that? You just got to embrace it. You got to embrace all those things. You got to enjoy all those things. And I hate to be cliche here, but you got to enjoy the journey. You got to enjoy getting tapped out by somebody that's small. Be amazed by that.
Yep.
Say, dang, how did that just happen? That is impressive.
Yep.
Say, hey, got a little war scar on my face. I got, split the eye open. Okay, cool. Chicks dig scars. Just going to go. Don't look at all that stuff as negative. Look at it as, it's like, don't rush to the end. Don't rush to the end. Don't be in a rush to get there. Take your time and enjoy the sights that you're going to go for. Also, I've said this before. select your training partners carefully, especially like you're 54 years old. You don't want to be rolling with a 20-year-old steroid freak that's going white belt trying to kill you. You want to be rolling with a cool, mellow purple belt that's wants to do jiu-jitsu and train. And finally, I would just say, remember that jiu-jitsu should be fun. It should be all those other things, all those frustrating, all those challenges, all those things, all that humiliation and getting humbled, but it should be a good time. You should have fun when you're doing jiu-jitsu. I know I do.
Yeah. Yeah, like a video game, right? You know how
I was out of town for a couple of days, man. And I came back and I had a little injury that I figured out. It took me a little while. I got my jacked up finger. And it took me a little while to get the right apparatus to splint it properly and protect it. But tonight I trained and I was so happy. I was so happy getting on the mat, just saying yes. Yeah,
that is how we're all the junk parts that come with it were quote unquote junk part. You know, like the soreness. I got choked out or whatever. That's all part of the game. Seems obvious, right? Yeah, it's all part of the game, but be happy that that's the game you're in. Mm-hmm. You know? So I mean, jiu-jitsu basic. I mean, if you don't do jiu-jitsu, this will be kind of an insight. Basically, all it is, if you go to a class, you go in, you may or may not warm up, you learn a move, whether it be a submission move or just a move. You learn a move, 2 moves, 3 moves, sometimes 4 moves, and then you cut to
rolling
straight up. You guys are fighting. No strikes. That's it. You're fighting. No strikes. If whatever moves you know, go ahead and do them in real life against this guy.
Real time.
That's it. If you don't know it, if that's your first day and you learn 1, 2, 3 moves that first day, you better try to do those moves. That's it. So of course, 2, 3 moves that you learned once, by the way, and you roll with someone who, even if he's still a white belt or whatever, he knows those moves and then, 3, 4 more, and he's practiced them in real time or whatever. Of course, he's going to get you, that's just how it works. But keep in mind, the more you go, the more you do the moves, the more moves you learn, the more you practice them in real life, the better you get at them.
And let's go ahead and just apply this to life as well, because jiu-jitsu is such a great metaphor for life. Whatever you're doing, whatever goal you're trying to achieve, if you're letting those frustrations when you hit those obstacles, if you're letting them control you and get you down, that's the wrong attitude to have.
Yep.
Look at it as a learning opportunity. Look at it as something that's good that's happening. Look at it as a chance for you to try something new. Look at it as the journey that you're trying to achieve. And by the way, anything that's easy to achieve and you don't hit any obstacles, well, that's not worth it, right? That's not going to get the full satisfaction that you want out of that. So in life, as in jiu-jitsu, don't get frustrated. Embrace those challenges, because those are what is making this goal worthwhile.
Yeah, man. And I'm telling you, let's say back to the avoiding frustration specifically. It does, how you were saying, training partners, that does make a big difference, because sometimes, every once in a while, like I've heard of people where their schedule doesn't allow them to catch like the beginner class, for example. So they're like, hey, I have no choice. I got to do this more intermediate or advanced class. So they're the only white belt, and the next guy even closest to him is like an advanced blue belt. So that's going to be a steep learning curve. It's going to be tough. Because it's, how are you going to practice your moves in the wild?
You won't get to work your offense.
Yeah, it's really. But here's kind of the good thing: you get to work your defense. So when you do get the opportunity to exercise like your offense, whether you get another class or it just comes but just takes longer, or whatever. But you know how good your defense is going to be.
Yeah, and I actually, from training with Dean for so many years, he's just got some positions that are brutal, brutal positions. And, for instance, his mount is outstanding. When he gets the mount, when anybody else that I've ever trained with in my life has mounted, with the exception, I guess, of Hicks and Gracie, I felt like, oh, well, it's not Dean. This is not, this isn't a horrible scenario. Yeah. Right. And not that I'm not that worried. I'm not trying to degrade people I've trained with. Right. But that is Dean has an incredible mount. And on top of that, Dean kind of knows my escapes. So whereas if I roll with a random other really good, world-class black belt, they might not know the particulars of my escape. Dean actually does know those.
And he's good at it.
So you're right in that the more you train with people that are better than you, your defense is going to become very good. Because like when you mount me, I mean, you got a good solid mount, but I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to be out of this in a short period of time with no real threats.
Keep telling me that.
And you've had, I mean, I'm sure it's the same way. You've had Dean mounted on you. I mean, my mount, because I don't have a great mount, My mount is nothing compared to Dean's. Nothing.
Yeah, fully. Yeah, and that's absolutely true. And at the same time, though, so if you fall in, and I don't want to say it's like a small, because it's a pretty big chance where if you enter a beginner class, there's going to be a guy who's just as much of a beginner as you. Yeah. And that's where you can really flourish, because you can practice moves, your new moves, which, I mean, for lack of a better term, your junk moves on junk people.
I will say this, though. Whoever you roll with, whether they're worse than you, the same as you, or better than you, you're going to get a lot out of it.
Of course.
All three of them. Yes. So you should roll with all three of those types of people. I have a tendency to want to usually roll with guys that are, like good, and I should spend more. And I do. I mean, I train with everybody that we got at the gym. I'll train with everybody. But I always prefer, of course, I guess I shouldn't say of course, because there are people that are like white belt hunters right, that want to go out there and be bullies. I'm not like that. I'd rather get bullied, right? I want to feel I want to get after it,
Yeah.
But you definitely get benefit from training with people that are better than you, worse than you, and the same as you, because you practice one of them, you're practicing defense, one of them you're practicing pure offense, and someone that's equal than you got to start practicing your setups and your approaches, and you got to learn how to defend and do offense and defense at the same time. So it's all good. Roll.
Yeah,
that's basically the concept here. Roll.
Yeah, so consider that scenario. You roll with, then you're talking from an ideal standpoint. Roll with people better than you, same as you, worse than you, or not as good as you. For a beginner, that's not really the option. The worse than you guys, that's not an option for a beginner. Really, So
there's no one that's worse than them.
Well, as far as overcoming the frustrations or whatever, it is a good situation where you can get in with guys just as beginner as you. And hope that they hang around, because after a certain amount of time, those guys who aren't as new
I could see where it could become frustrating if you were the guy that you were talking about earlier. Let's say a guy you have to work late and you can only go to the advanced class, and all of a sudden you think jiu-jitsu is just getting crushed and destroyed.
And I can't learn this really. It's like,
so I guess the distance to understand. But yeah, that's a good point. So keep in mind that if you're in that situation, it's okay. You're gonna when you eventually get to roll with people that are more your skill level, you'll be that much better off.
Yeah, for sure. And watch the first time you tap someone out with a move that you learned.
Celebrate that, did you?
Yeah, that's a good time for everyone.